तव कथामृतम् तप्तजीवनम् कविभिरीडितम् कल्मषापहम् श्रवणमङ्गलम् श्रीमदाततम् भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः.
Om Tava Kathāmritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibiriditam Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Shrimadatatam Bhuvigrunanti Ye Bhurida Jana. We are reading the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna and the chapter 3rd, Visit to Vidyasagar, August 5, 1882. And we have learnt a lot about Vidyasagar, and Master had a desire for long to visit him because he had a habit of meeting all those who are respected people. Secondly, he wanted to see that with all these merits, how much love for God has arisen in him. These are the main things. So when he came to know that Master Masha is a teacher in Vidyasagar school, he asked him, "Can you take me to him?" And Master Masha informed this to Vidyasagar, and Vidyasagar welcomed the idea. So Master has visited him, and we find that he was asking whether my button is all right and all that. Master Masha said, "You need not observe that much formality." And they came to the room. And in the room, Sri Ramakrishna and his devotees entered a room at the far end of which Vidyasagar was seated facing them with a table in front of him. To the right of the table was a bench. Some friends of their host occupied chairs on the other two sides. The hint given here is that the friends did not get up from the chair or offer the master the chair. Neither Vidyasagar asked them to do that. And Thakur came near the bench and sat on the bench. Now those who have any idea of bench and chair will immediately understand more than one thing, that the people did not take Sri Ramakrishna in a very high sense. Secondly, Sri Ramakrishna never bothered about it, and he saw that the bench is empty, so he came to the bench. Vidyasagar rose to receive the master. So this honor he showed, but not offer him the bench. Instead, Sri Ramakrishna stood in front of the bench with one hand resting on the table. He gazed at Vidyasagar as if they had known each other before. We understand that not only known each other before, that means affectionately, but he gazed at Vidyasagar. So, as if they had known each other means Vidyasagar did not look at Master in that fashion. So, it is for Thakur that he knows Vidyasagar for a long time. That is what impression was carried by Sri Ramakrishna's gaze. and his gaze was penetrative enough to see what is inside Vidyasagar. And smiled in an ecstatic mood. Sri Ramakrishna smiled in an ecstatic mood. So he is going penetrating, he is rising high in the semi-conscious or divine conscious state. In that mood, he remained standing a few minutes. Now and then, to bring his mind back to normal consciousness, he said, I shall have a drink of water. This has to be explained. Sri Ramakrishna's natural trend of mind was to go higher. And if it is left to itself, that mind will go into Nirvikalpa Samadhi. That was the nature of the mind. Now, he wants to talk, he wants to behave normally with the people, and so he has to keep his mind on a lower level where he has external consciousness. Now, what was his way? Because if he leaves the mind to its own, it would go up again. And that is what was happening also. So, Sri Ramakrishna has told that some innocent desire, what we call innocent desire, that is, I will drink water, I will smoke, or some such desire, he used to keep in his mind. And with the help of that desire and repeating that desire or revolving that desire again and again in the mind, then only his mind could come down. Now from this, we learn many lessons. Sri Ramakrishna could bring his mind from Nirvikalpa Samadhi to the outside plane by revolving some desires in his mind. So, we call certain desires as innocent desires, but see the power of the innocent desire, so called, it can bring the mind from Nirvikalpa Samadhi to normal plane. Because Sri Ramakrishna wanted, that is a different thing, but it could bring. So our plane who is on the ordinary level, how much down this innocent desire can take us. That is the lesson. We should not indulge in this so-called innocent desire, because that will bring our mind down. That is the lesson we learn from this. Here, Sri Ramakrishna is saying that now Vidyasagar does not know this. In the meantime, the young members of the household and a few friends and relatives of Vidyasagar had gathered around. Because Sri Ramakrishna, an appointment was fixed, so it was known he is coming, and so young people and friends and all that had gathered. Sri Ramakrishna, still in an ecstatic mood, sat on the bench. A young man, 17 or 18 years old, who had come to Vidyasagar to seek financial help for his education, was seated there on the bench. The master sat down at a little distance from the boy. Why? Saying in an ecstatic, abstracted mood, Mother, this boy is very much attached to the world. He belongs to the realm of ignorance, avidya. So within the world, some things take us down, some things push us up. So that which takes us down is called avidya, here ignorance. And that he could immediately understand by his divine vision. And that is why he sat at a little distance to keep avidya away from himself. Now, one thing is not very clear here, whether this is said audible to the Master Mahashaya or to all others. That is not clear here. Because that would be like condemning that boy. But most surely, Sri Ramakrishna has uttered this slowly. Vidyasagar told someone to bring water. So Vidyasagar heard Sri Ramakrishna wants water. And he took it as an ordinary request for water. Vidyasagar told someone to bring water and asked him whether the master would like some sweetmeats also. This is another important thing to understand. In Bengal, the language or the idiom is like this. I want water or give him water means some sweets to eat and after which to drink water. Now Sri Ramakrishna has uttered, so he may be thirsty and wants water only. Secondly, Vidyasagar does not know the formalities to behave with a Paramahansa. So, normal practice is to feed sweets, but not knowing the etiquette of the sannyasins, Paramahansas, Vidyasagar asked whether it is, he already asked somebody to bring water, but whether he will take some sweets also. Since M did not object, we asked this to M, not to master. M did not object because if you go to somebody's house, if somebody gives some sweets, it is not wrong. Vidyasagar himself went eagerly to the inner apartments and brought the sweets. So he asked somebody to bring water and himself went inside, who are known by now what is in their apartment, and bring sweets. They were placed before the master, Bhavanath, and Hazara also. Bhavanath and Hazara also received their share of the sweets. When they were offered to M by the people who had, Vidyasagar had brought them, but then somebody else was doing this offering, and when they were offered to M, Vidyasagar said, oh, he is like one of the family, because he was serving in a school, so more familiar, one of the family. We need not worry about him, whether he gets or not. It is to the guest that it is given. Referring to a young devotee, the master said to Vidyasagar, not that boy sitting on the bench, young devotees had gathered. Referring to one of the young devotees, the master said to Vidyasagar openly, he is a nice young man and is sound at the core. So he looked inside and found that the character of that boy is nice. That is sound at the core. And the boy is nice. Behavior and sound at the core. He is like the river Falgu. That means there is no appearance of his religiosity or spiritual hankering. That is that river Falgu is a river which is not on the surface. If we dig a little deep, inside water is there. That is river Falgu. The surface is covered with sand, but if you dig a little, you will find water flowing underneath. So surface may be a little rough, but Thakur found him nice with a sound character and with spiritual potential inside. Nobody is commenting on that, so the talk proceeds. After taking some of the sweets, the master with a smile began to speak to Vidyasagar. With a smile, he has brought his mind down to the normal level. Smile is always there, and he wants to do some humor so that what is called breaking the ice or the conversation may start. So it is Thakur who starts the conversation in a humorous fashion so that everybody's mind will be caught in that conversation. Began to speak to Vidyasagar. Meanwhile, the room had become filled with people. Some were standing and others were seated. So, Vidyasagar had informed many people. And so, there were many people in the room. Master, now what he talks. Today at last, I have come to the ocean. It is pun on the word Vidyasagar, ocean of knowledge. That is the degree given to him. But Sri Ramakrishna is using this to break the ice and start the conversation. Up till now, I have seen only canals, marshes, or a river at the most. But today, I am face to face with the sagar, the ocean. All laugh. They caught the humor and they are laughing. Now, ocean, if you talk, it is salt water. So taking that cue, understanding the pun, Vidyasagar says, smiling, that means adding to the humor. Then please take home some salt water. That also creates laughter because like the pun, Vidyasagar has continued the humor. Master, oh no. No, Sri Ramakrishna is expert in carrying any fun without damaging the truth and maintaining, praising the person if he has started like that. So, oh no, why salt water? You aren't the ocean of ignorance. In Indian mythologies, there are 7 oceans. And one only is water, the other is honey, like that, one is of milk. So, Sri Ramakrishna compares salt water as avidya and milk in the ocean as vidya. And because the name is Vidyasagar, so Sri Ramakrishna continues the pun, you aren't the ocean of ignorance, you are the ocean of vidya, knowledge. You are the ocean of condensed milk. Now here I will offer some comment. The original in Bengali is Khira Sagar. Now the word is originally Sanskrit. And in Sanskrit or in other Indian languages also derived from Sanskrit, Khira meaning is milk. And in the mythology also, we know that there is ocean of milk. In Bengali, this kheer is pronounced as kheer, and kheer means condensed milk. So the translator has translated it as you are the ocean of condensed milk. It could be you are the ocean of milk. Vidyasagar. Well, you may put it that way. That means, in a way, he is defeated in the humor making. And he knows that his name is Vidyasagar. And so he cannot contradict that also. And so he says, and he knows that he has knowledge, secular. And so he says, well, you may put it that way. The Pandit became silent also. That means, what to say on the top of this? So he has become silent. But Sri Ramakrishna has been able to break the ice. Everybody has attention has been centered there, so he can carry on his talk now. Sri Ramakrishna said, your activities are inspired by sattva. Let me explain this. There are 3 qualities or characteristics in nature and also in human mind. Sattva is balance, equipoise, that is sattva. Rajas is restlessness, dynamism, activity is rajas. And tamas is darkness, inertia. Now, because Vidyasagar is doing so many activities, so normally it will be expected that it is Rajagun. On that background, Sri Ramakrishna is telling, though that your activities are inspired by Sattva, though they are Rajasic, so activities are Rajasic, they are influenced by Sattva. That is actually, Vidyasagar we know is a Bandopadhyaya and is a Brahmin by caste. But this is in Gita, this is given as the characteristics of a Kshatriya. Rajogun with coloring of Sattvagun. And that is what Sri Ramakrishna finds in Vidyasagar. He wants to draw Vidyasagar's mind towards spirituality. And so he is telling that though it is Rajasic, it is the, instead of color, he says it has the base of Sattva, inspired by Sattva. Though they are Rajasic, they are influenced by Sattva. How? Compassion springs from Sattva. Though work for the good of others belong to Rajas, even work for the good of others belongs to Rajas. Yet this Rajas, doing good work for others, has Sattva for its basis and is not harmful. So Rajagun, if not on the basis of Sattva, is harmful. It distracts the mind. It takes the mind downwards. And so in his small opening talk, Sri Ramakrishna has started talking and instructing the psychological aspect of truth. And he says, is not harmful. He has explained in the previous topic we have seen, some people, they don't have anything to do, so they do any nonsense. So that is not the nature of Rajagun with Vidyasagar. He gives an example. Shuka and other sages cherish compassion in their minds to give people religious instruction. So this is a very bright example that Sattva is predominant actually, but Rajoguna and Sattva together, that is explaining Shukadeva and others of that type. They are active, but their aim of life is to bring people to spirituality. So it is Sattva Gun being expressed as Rajogun. Religious instruction to teach them about God. Now Vidyasagar is not doing that, but Sri Ramakrishna wants to bring his mind to that. And in in Shukadev, Sattvagun is predominant. In Vidyasagar, Rajogun has the basis of Sattvagun. So it can be turned more Sattvagun. That is Sri Ramakrishna's idea. It can be turned inside, finding God there. That is the idea. So at present it is not that. You are distributing food and learning. You are not like Shukadeva. Shukadeva has kindness because he wants to teach people about God. You are instructing secular knowledge. Distributing food and learning, that is good too. So this Rajogun has a basis of Sattvagun, that is also good because Swami Vivekananda has explained in the Karma Yoga that to give man spiritual knowledge is the highest gift. To give man secular knowledge is the next higher gift. And to give him food and money and even life is the third category of help, because the blind life, without knowing the nature of the world, without knowing our own nature, through secular knowledge or education, one's life is just like the vegetating life or the machine's life. So compared to that, this is good. That is good too. If these activities are done in a selfless spirit, they lead to God. So that is the connection. If selflessness is there, then this Rajogun with Sattvagun tends to make the mind pure, and then God's desire will arise. But most people work for fame or to acquire merit. So, Rajogun or doing good to others is done with various motives. One is to earn fame. Second is to acquire merit. If I help people, I get some punyam, and this punyam will help me to live in heaven after death. So those who are believers in after death life, they do it because that gives them punyam. That is the little higher than those who do it only to gain praise. But other than them, there is another thing going to God. Heaven is just a place of pleasure. If these activities are done in a selfless spirit, they lead to God. But most people work for fame or to acquire merit. Their activities are not selfless. Besides, you are already a Siddha. So he brings another thing. So he has made the way for Vidyasagar to turn spiritual, though he has not turned at that meeting. But Sri Ramakrishna has made him aware that your Rajoguna is Sattva. If you want, you can go towards God. And then another quality which is necessary for going to God. Remember, only this theoretical knowledge is of not much help. So, besides, you are already a Siddha. Now, the word Siddha in Bengali has two words. Sri Ramakrishna is talking in Bengali and he is using the pun. He wants both meanings. Siddha means perfect. That is the meaning of Siddha. And in Bengali, Siddha means well cooked. That is also called Siddha in Bengali. So Thakur is using that pun and is telling, besides you are already a Siddha. Vidyasagar, how is that, sir? He has not got this point because the knowledge portion he knows, and so he had agreed with that, kept quiet. But now Thakur is pointing out some special thing, and Vidyasagar has not understood it. So he is asking, how is that, sir? Master laughing. Laughing here only means that the garb of humor is still maintained. When potatoes and other vegetables are well cooked, they become soft and tender. So that is the meaning conveyed by Siddha. Perfect and well cooked. They become soft and tender. And you possess such a tender nature. So that is what Thakur wants to show. Why he has a tender nature? You are so compassionate. So the nature is tender. Laughter. Because that pun and humor is continuing. But through that, Thakur is slowly turning everybody's attention towards spirituality. Vidyasagar. He finds in this pun something which can revert the idea. Here it is mentioned But when the paste of kalai pulse is boiled, it becomes all the harder. So those who do not know Bengali will wonder what is this kalai pulse. The English term is black gram. Black gram. In Marathi, urdachi dal. Kalai. In Punjabi Hindi, ma. The full name is mas kadai. So taking mas and making it abbreviated like the Punjabis do, it is called ma. And in Marathi, it is called udid. And in Hindi, mas kadai is Bengali. In Hindi, it is also called udid, urad. In Hindi, urad ki dal, or also kalai ki dal. So he says it has a different nature. Potatoes will become soft. Potatoes and other vegetables, they will become soft. But when the paste of kalai pulse is boiled, you prepare paste of kalai pulse and then boil it. What happens? It becomes all the harder. Master has a reply on this also. So I find that Sri Ramakrishna is so quick for what you call retort or joke or humor, answering other people, very quick. But you don't belong to that class. Mere pundits are like diseased fruit that becomes hard and will not ripen at all. So there is a class of mere pundits. Mere pundits, Vidyasagar, Pandit with tenderness of heart. That is what we already found. Mere Pandits without the tenderness of heart. Then they are like that kadai pulse. Mere Pandits are like diseased fruit that becomes hard and will not ripen at all. The fruit is growing, but instead of ripening, it becomes hard. So it will not grow at all. Such fruit has neither the freshness of green fruit means tender, nor the flavor of ripe. So if the ripe, it gives a beautiful smell, that is called flavor. But if in the beginning the fruit has got some disease, then it becomes hard. It does not ripen. And he is giving the example of this type of mere pandits. Vultures soar very high in the sky, so they will talk very high, but their eyes are fixed on rotten carrion on the ground. Rotten flesh is called carrion, so a rotten carrion. The book learned are reputed to be wise, but they are attached to women and gold. So that is the carrion. Like the vultures, they are in search of carrion. They are attached to the world of ignorance. So this woman and gold or lust and lucre will take a mind like a man downwards. Ignorance. Compassion, love of God, and renunciation are the glories of true knowledge. Again, this word knowledge has come, and we saw, asking Master Masha, how many annas of knowledge is there? And we had found that knowledge from the 13th chapter of the Gita. Here, let us see what is knowledge. So, remember, knowledge. Compassion, love of God, and renunciation. are the glories of true knowledge. True knowledge, not mere theoretical knowledge, but the knowledge which is true. That means God's knowledge will compassion. It gives compassion. So that is the glory of real knowledge. And love of God comes. In real knowledge, the love of God comes. And renunciation from the world. So all the essentials to become spiritual are there in the real knowledge, are the glories of true knowledge. Glories means if true knowledge is there, these are automatically manifested in man. If you do not see that, don't think that man has knowledge. Vidyasagar listened to these words in silence because these are a very new topic to him. The others too gazed at the master and were attentive to every word he said. That is what Master Mash has found. They gazed at the master. So the minds are concentrated toward the person from whom these talks are coming. They are not ordinary talks. And were attentive to every word he said. Vidyasagar listened. Vidyasagar was very reticent about now something else Master Masha is describing to us to show that he did not have, Vidyasagar did not have a burning faith in God. Though out of his scholarship he had known about God, though in his behavior he followed the rituals, good conduct, religiously good conduct, but the real knowledge or real faith in God had not arisen. And he will show the reasons also. Vidyasagar was very reticent about giving religious instruction to others. He had studied Hindu philosophy. Once when M had asked him his opinion of it, Vidyasagar had said, I think the philosophers have failed to explain what was in their minds. Through language that has not come out, that is what Vidyasagar says. But in his daily life, he followed all the rituals of Hindu religion and wrote and wore the sacred thread of a Brahmin. About God, he had once declared, that is the problem. It is indeed impossible to know him. What then should be our duty? It seems to me that we should live in such a way that if others followed our example, this very work would become heaven. Everyone should try to do good to the world. Now, this world may become heaven. It will not become spiritual. It will not be tending to God. That one must remember. If everybody follows Vidyasagar's idea, as Sri Ramakrishna is finding out, he will not be spiritual, but he will remain a good man. And heaven means when everybody is good, there is happiness everywhere. That is heaven. Sri Ramakrishna's conversation now turned to the knowledge of Brahman. Now turn means at this point, explaining so many things, he now shifts to Brahman, the reality. That is what is the original intention. Slowly he is bringing the mind to that. Master, Brahman is beyond Vidya and Avidya, knowledge and ignorance. It is beyond Maya, the illusion of duality. So in this world, there is knowledge and wrong knowledge. Knowledge will say, at the most, I am Brahmasmi, but Brahman is beyond this knowledge, or Brahman is beyond the theoretical knowledge about God. Brahman is beyond Vidya and Avidya, knowledge and ignorance. It is beyond Maya, the illusion of duality. So duality is an illusion that is called Maya. Clear. Within that Maya, there are some things which take us up, some things which take us down. Vidya Maya and Avidya Maya. The world consists of the illusory duality of knowledge and ignorance. Knowledge, to know relatively a little more about God. And ignorance, because we are not really aware of the nature of God. We might have read them. In spirit, in our daily life, we are not sufficiently spiritual, though we are good. The world consists of the illusory duality of knowledge and ignorance. Ignorance means wrong knowledge, and whole world is full of duality, the worshipper and worship, and the world contains of knowledge and devotion, and also attachment to woman and God. So higher forces, lower forces are both in the world. Righteousness and unrighteousness, good and evil, world is full of this. Righteousness and unrighteousness, good and evil. But Brahman is unattached to these. So good, Brahman or spirituality is beyond what is called good. It is a different level. Good and evil apply only to the jiva, the individual soul. One who knows himself to be an individual is an individual. And these people do too much of this knowledge which gives heaven. Brahman is beyond Vidya and Avidya is knowledge and ignorance. It is beyond Maya, the illusion of duality. The world consists of the illusory duality of knowledge and ignorance. It contains knowledge and devotion and the attachment to woman and gold. Knowledge and devotion on one side, attachment to gold on the other side. This is what is the world. Righteousness and unrighteousness, good and evil. The world is beyond righteousness and unrighteousness, good and evil. But Brahman is unattached to these. When you think of the nature of Brahman, nothing of this is real, so Brahman is unattached. And also attachment to woman and gold. That is the world. Nature of the world is, it is attached to woman and gold. That is the illusion of duality. This you have seen. Reality is one without a second. It is covered by names and forms. That is world. So, world consists of illusion of duality. The world consists of the illusory duality of knowledge and ignorance. It contains knowledge and devotion on one side, and also attachment to woman and gold on the other side. Righteousness and unrighteousness, world consists of both, good and evil, but Brahman is unattached to these. Brahman's real nature is beyond this, though it is all pervading, so it is unattached. Good and evil apply to the jiva. individual, the individual soul, as do righteousness and unrighteousness. These are all human virtues. But Brahman is not at all affected by them. It is unattached. Okay. One man may read, no example, one man may read the Bhagavata by the light of a lamp, and another may commit a forgery by that very light, but the lamp is unaffected. Very clear example. The sun sheds its light on the wicked as well as on the virtuous. That light does not become wicked or virtuous. You may ask, how then can one explain misery and sin and unhappiness? So, anticipatory question Thakur himself has brought up. The answer is that these apply only to the jiva, to an individual. Brahman is unaffected by them, by sin and unhappiness. There is poison in a snake, but though others may die if bitten by it, the snake itself is not affected by the poison. So that is a ready example with Sri Ramakrishna. What Brahman is cannot be described. All things in the world, the Vedas, the Puranas, the Tantras, the 6 systems of philosophy have been defied like food that has been touched by the tongue. For they have been read or uttered by the tongue. Only one thing has not been defined in this way, and that is Brahman. No one has ever been able to say what Brahman is. Now, this is something important, and it has struck Vidyasagar. Vidyasagar to his friends, oh, that is a remarkable statement. I have learned something new today. That means the previous talks had not impressed him so much as this. Brahman has not been defined. Master. Now Sri Ramakrishna describes this through an experience of life. A man had 2 sons. The father sent them to a preceptor to learn the knowledge of Brahman. After a few years, they returned home, their preceptors from their receptors, home, house, and bowed low before their father. I read one word which was not there, that is home. After a few years, they returned from their preceptor's house and bowed low before their father. Wanting to measure the depth of their knowledge of Brahman, he first questioned the older of the 2 boys. My child, he said, you have studied all the scriptures. Now tell me, what is the nature of Brahman? You might read other things, Brahman may not come. But the scriptures are supposed to give us the conceptual knowledge of Brahman at least. So, you have studied all the scriptures. Now tell me, what is the nature of Brahman? The boy began to explain Brahman by reciting various texts from the Vedas. So whatever he has read here, he started telling them. The father did not say anything. Then he asked the younger son the same question, but the boy remained silent and stood with eyes cast down. The word escaped his lips. The father was pleased and said to him, my child, you have understood a little of Brahman. A little may not be the full nature, but something. What it is cannot be expressed in words. It is absolutely transcendent, and that is what he meant by not defined. Men often think they have understood Brahman fully. This is the Kenopanishad learning. I think we are read enough today. We can continue this. Though some time is there, we shall continue this on Monday. Om Tava Kathāmritam Sapta Jivanam Kavibiriritam Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Srimadaatatam Bhuigrantiye Bhuridajana. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.